So it's been a minute since Apple dropped their 12.9-inch iPad Pro with an M1 processor. I've been an iPad user for years. Generally, they've been my favorite device. But here's my challenge after living with the M1 in an iPad for the last 6 or 8 months or so since it came out. Putting a V8 engine in a Ford Flex seems like it could be a good idea. This is a device that is supposedly hyper flexible, big screen, lots of apps, optimized for iPad. So it's marketed and positioned as the tablet that can replace your laptop, or at least it used to be till they changed that message a little bit and now they've gone back to it. But that's a different story. The thing is, we've talked about this a lot in some of the other videos we've done. The Surface Pro 8 video is a great example of a tablet that you can use like a computer. Yes, you can do that with this, but I have tried and tried and tried repeatedly to take this as my only device when I go to the office and nothing else. And categorically, every single time I've done that, I have found myself in a position where something won't load correctly in the browser, or I can't do something that I want to do, or an extension's missing. Most things at a base level you can accomplish with the keyboard case or with a Bluetooth keyboard. I prefer just use a Bluetooth keyboard because I can get a regular size one, and I'm not really a fan of the cases. They're $350, so it's a lot of money. But the challenge is I can never leave the house with this on its own. I always still have to have another device, a real computer, whether it's a MacBook Air, whether it's a Surface Pro, whether it's an HP Spectre, that review's coming soon. And so it leaves me in a position where I've started to use it less. And even 3 or 4 months ago, what I would have said was my favorite device no longer is. I think part of that is probably down to the fact that I've switched my daily driver to a Galaxy S22, the big one, and it's so capable, and the split screen is actually so really useful, along with some other things, that I don't find myself reaching for the tablet like I used to. And then it's almost as if I've now conditioned my mind to think if I need to get stuff done, there's just no point reaching for this. Might as well just reach for my computer anyway. And I'm left in a position where this has literally been sat on a desk for the last 5 days untouched, which in Mikey's world would never have happened months ago. Now you might be thinking, hey, but hang on a minute, I'm not you and you're not me. And you're absolutely right. I'm talking about a typical user who's an entrepreneur, business owner, high-level employee who's got things they still have to do beyond email, web browsing, and the very most basic of tasks. If you're a little bit younger than me and you're not so ingrained in muscle memory, maybe you can switch the way you do things to this app first, touch first kind of situation. I just find it slow a lot of the time and a little bit clunky when I can just move really quickly in a regular computer. And I think I'm not alone, and here's why I think that. The last 2 years, we've had this little old thing called a pandemic, and a lot of people have ended up working from home. And what's been fascinating to watch is the sales trends of devices. Because a couple of years or so ago, pre-COVID, everybody was saying the laptops were declining, desktop PCs were dying, everybody wants mobile first, everybody wants tablet first. But then an interesting thing happened. We all went home and started to work and have to do real work in real spreadsheets and real PowerPoints and Google Slides and all this other kind of fun stuff. And all of a sudden, laptop sales have gone up, desktop sales have gone up, monitor sales have gone up, because we've realized we actually need a real working setup of a computer, 1 or 2 screens, a real keyboard, and a real mouse. And that really seems to be the best thing for someone who needs to get stuff done. So, back to the iPad. Nearly a year later living with it. Can you use this and get a lot of functionality out of it? Absolutely. If you need a big screen, I suspect you'd probably be quite happy with an iPad Air Max if they made one. But they don't. They're going to force you to go all the way to the Pro. But as I talked about in my iPad Air video that dropped about a week or so ago, do you really need ProMotion? Or is the regular refresh rate enough? Do you really need a true depth camera and a LiDAR sensor for 3D mapping? Or is a regular camera enough? Other than Zoom, I don't really ever use the cameras. If I'm taking pictures, I still reach for my phone. I don't know if it's because it's smaller, because it's easier, just because it's closer. But when I'm out and about, it's definitely the only camera I've got in my pocket. And so there's a lot of features on here that, yes, there is a small set of folks that need this, that want this large tablet. They can draw and they can do whatever they need to do on it. And that's okay. That's who this is made for. But I think the majority of iPad Pro buyers are probably more like me, somebody that just likes a tablet and wants a big screen. Maybe your eyes are getting off a little bit in your 40s and 50s and you just like bigger fonts. Maybe you just like holding something bigger. Maybe you use it for teleprompting or notes and that kind of stuff. And just the physical screen size is what's most important. And if that's you, I get it. And I'm completely with you. And it's a shame that you can't get a bigger screen iPad in a lower spec. Obviously, there's a commercial reason why they've chosen to do that. But from a consumer perspective, from our experience, I think it's a wrong decision. I think if there was an iPad Air Maxi for an extra $100 or $150, that would probably fly off the shelves and these sales would plummet. And then we bring in the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 that we also did a review on recently, so go check that one out. Hope I'm pointing in the right place, but just in case, I'll point over here. You get an 11-inch option, a 12.5, and the 14.6-inch. Now, they are also expensive tablets, but there is no lower spec version of them available. And the Super AMOLED displays are magnificent. The other good thing about Samsung's, even though this is an iPad talk, is that you can usually find them on sale. They tend to wheel and deal a little bit more, they tend to run more promos, and so that 12-inch-ish Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 is a little bit smaller than this because of the screen ratio, but it's going to be a little bit less expensive at full price and then on sale even more so. Even the Big Ultra, that is a big boy, and in portrait mode, trust me, it's a big boy. It's beautiful and it's glorious to use, but it's a big boy. Even that is about the same price as this before discounts and those kind of things. So there is a viable option, there is an alternative, but I think honestly, for a lot of people, the best advice I could give you from my experience living with iPads for years, in particular the big one for years, is are you going to get to a point here where laptops have improved so much? Things like the Surface Pro are so good now at what they do. 2-in-1 laptops, you know, with the flip around screens, hybrid laptop, there's so many other choices. I don't know whether there's still a place for these or not for a typical average user. And I think that's why tablet usage in general is so low compared to phones that have got bigger and bigger. And now at 6.6, 6.8 inches, they're basically a mini tablet in your pocket. And so it seems as though this stretching of the phone, this improving of the computer experience and the PC experience has really just put more pressure on this mid-range tablet place for this third device, as Steve called it.
Is there room for a third category of device in the middle? Something that's between a laptop and a smartphone.
And I don't know if it's really worth buying or not. So let me wrap it up for you. I love iPads, loved them for years. I found myself in a position recently where I just don't use it a whole lot anymore. Don't really feel the love for it so much. Find it irritating when I want to get things done that are meaningful and I can't because of the way it's forcing me to do it that's so different from what I'm used to. And I guess I'm an old dog and I don't want to be taught new tricks and my muscle memory doesn't want to change. So this bad boy is going to be leaving the studio permanently. And I'm going to try and live without a tablet and see if my big phone and my laptop are going to do the job. Let me know what you think. Comments below. Appreciate you watching. Until next time, let's go out there and be amazing.